All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. This is our last meeting of the year, actually, and it's great to see everyone just for the holidays. We had a great happy hour for those who missed over at Five Iron Bowling, and we're excited to reconnect with all of you today. So, a couple of administrative announcements before we start. Be aware this meeting is recorded for the convenience of those who cannot attend and will be accessible on our Facebook page and our website, mossbay.org, starting tomorrow. We typically have the majority of our neighbors actually watch the recording rather than attend live. Boo-hoo. We kindly request that you keep your microphones muted unless you're actively speaking. We'll reserve questions for the end of each presentation. And if you wish to ask a question, you have the option to unmute yourself or type it in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to read it out loud so that we can record it for the meeting. Okay, we have a pretty full agenda tonight, so maybe we can get started. Oh, there we go, being recorded. And yeah, let's start with the Moss Bay board elections. So first off, thank you everyone who participated in our board election and neighborhood poll. And this is our ratified slate of directors for the coming year. And we have to say congratulations to our newest board member, Suzie Oberman. She is not available tonight. She's actually hosting her HOA meeting. I don't think I see her. But she wants to say, she'll see you maybe at the next happy hour or following meetings. Okay, so in terms of, whoopsie, let's go back. Okay, in terms of what the poll results are. So one of the first, oopsie. All right, one of the things we always want to know is, do we want to continue these online meetings or have them in person as they were before the pandemic? So the small pie here is 2024 from last year, and this year we actually have a greater percentage that prefer to have online meetings. The comments were always online and recorded, perhaps twice a year in person plus recording. For the other, we asked the question, what format would you most likely attend if there was a hybrid option available? And 57% responded online. So if we net that out, we have 74% preferring online and 26% in-person meetings. Okay. So the question was, how many neighborhood association meetings have you attended or watched the videos of in the last 12 months? So the orange bar is from last year, where I think we skewed a little bit fewer meetings watched last in 2025. Sorry, this latest survey. The majority was 36%, but we still had more than half attend between more than three meetings. Okay. So what we wanted to know is what kind of presentations our neighbors want to see in these meetings. So the highest rated ones were city initiatives and programs, like the one we had around the Kraken Iceplex, forum discussions on city issues, and new projects and real estate development. So those are the three highest ones. Next, close by, next to that would be transportation issues. We have some information on that this evening as well. After that, local business and charity introductions. So that seemed pretty popular as well. Kirkland police updates and city services. After that, we have city commission updates, social gatherings, neighborhood-only candidate forums, and a new thing we were trying to introduce this time was around group activities. So that's maybe going to gain some momentum going forward. There was a write-in field as well, and people wrote road and street maintenance and additional volunteer activities that they would like to know about. So this is very useful for the board as we plan out the agendas for all the meetings for you all. Okay, here we have in terms of a year-over-year neighborhood satisfaction. So how satisfied are you with the following in our neighborhood? Once again, number one is parks. The green line is from this year, the orange from last year, and the light blue one is from 2 years ago. So parks is very stable. Walkability looks like it's decreasing slightly. Safety is consistent with last year. Cleanliness is about stable. Next would be appearance, which seems to be stable from last year. Sense of community is actually growing, starting after the pandemic, 2023. And transportation actually is a little bit less than last year, but still higher than 2023. Okay. Any questions? Oh, can anyone see? Yes, I can share out the slides. There was a question in the chat there from Danielle. Happy to share those out. We'll just post them on our website. Okay. So our first speaker would be Sarah Rock, who's Parks and Community Services Department Education and Outreach Coordinator. She's here to give us a quick overview of what's happening with Peter Kirk Park.
Okay. Okay. Do you see my slides?
We got you.
This is
Yeah.
my first question. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. As Alex said, I'm Sarah Rock. I'm Education Outreach Coordinator for the City of Kirkland, and I see many familiar names and faces. So thank you all for being here tonight. I'm here to talk about one of my favorite parks, and which is also in my background, is Peter Kirk Park. So there's another picture of it. So we are planning next year to make some changes in the park. A lot of this is based on feedback from the community that happened during the Houghton Park and Play survey. I don't know, did everybody get to take a stab at that? Hopefully you did. We had an amazing 700, almost 700 survey responses, which was really good for one of our city surveys, particularly for something that was a temporary park. But in that survey, what it revealed was that there's some support for moving some of the features at the Houghton Park and Play over to Peter Kirk Park. Starting with our tennis courts. So one of the things we're going to do next year is there's overwhelming demand and support, desires, requests for more pickleball courts. So the 2 tennis courts at Peter Kirk Park are going to be converted into 8 pickleball courts. So half will be challenge courts and half will be timed. And we anticipate that this work will begin probably in late spring. We're hoping that the weather will be good. We have to have some good dry weather. So we're hoping around May or June. And this work will include restriping the tennis courts, new fencing, and hopefully some additional seating to make it more enjoyable for those who are waiting to play their pickleball. Next up, the Peter Kirk Skate Park. It's been there for a while, and as you can see, this picture shows it's a little rough. So we are going to be moving some of those configurable, portable, movable skate pieces that are at the Houghton Park and Play and integrating them into a new skate park. So we're going to be taking out the existing old skate park and we'll be installing a bigger and better skate park. The current skate park that's there right now is about 4,000 square feet. And when we combine some of the features, some of the ramps and stuff that was at the Houghton Park and Play, it will, the final end result we're anticipating will be about 10,000 square feet. So it'll be more than doubled. So right now we are trying we're putting out a contract hopefully for a design build with some construction. We hope it will be under construction by the end of next summer. And once we have some designs, we will be sharing those widely with neighbors, with KTUB, with the Kirkland Youth Council, and any skate groups to get their feedback and input. But we'd love to have your input if you have input as well. So I will definitely make sure once those designs options are available to send them to you, Alex, so you can share with the rest of the neighborhood.
Perfect.
And then you may have heard, I'm sure, that we did an assessment of the Peter Kirk pool. As many of you know, it's been there for a while. It was a community built pool. So we did a feasibility study to determine what options are possible. So that the options went to council back in July 1st. And we don't have a decision yet. We were hoping to get some grant money. Unfortunately, we did not. So we'll be returning to City Council with the options in February to discuss the next steps with the pool. But so if you've walked by, you've probably noticed it's empty right now. And that is because we had a leak. So we were losing water. It was a little bit costly. So we found that there was a leak. We had the leak detection guys out there a couple of times. And we found it was under the guard shack. So we had to jackhammer through the guard shack floor, and we have repaired the leak. No more leaks. And we're also going to be replacing the drains. There's pool drains, mandatory drains that have to be replaced every few years. And then otherwise, we are going to be looking at our boiler and making adjustments to make sure we can make it through another season, to make sure it's safe and secure and functional for another season. We won't be making any big changes to the pool until we know more about whether there will be a possible pool enclosure. So again, that won't happen until it goes back to City Council to present in February. So the next, our favorite Lee Johnson Field. So each year, the legislature has an opportunity to sponsor funding requests for local community projects. So this happened for us last year. We submitted a funding request and we got some funding for the restrooms at Everest Park. We have submitted a funding request. The city has submitted a funding request to make some improvements to the concession stands and field. And so that was just due last week. It was submitted. The legislators are, it's under review, and we should know more, I think, by possibly January, whether or not we will have additional funding to make some field improvements and concessions improvements at Lee Johnson Field. Fingers crossed. All your good, send all your good energy for some money to help make those improvements. We would love that. And last, you may have noticed there's a tent on the field. So that's not the city, that's actually the Kirkland Downtown Association. They are going to host a real ice rink on Lee Johnson Field. It's supposed to open on Thanksgiving Day through January 11th. So I'm excited about that. A little nervous. I haven't ice skated in a long time, but I hope everybody gets to check that out. And then one last project I wanted to mention is Marina Park renovations. The good news is our permits are ahead of schedule. So it's looking really good that we're going to have some Marina Park dock and shoreline renovations coming soon. We have to work around a fish window because there's certain periods of the year where we can work because of the fish in Lake Washington. So we're working with the CIP group to finalize the schedule. We have events that are scheduled in the park through most of 2026, so we will not be canceling or moving any of our scheduled events, but working around that after the events. We will figure it out, and we'll hope to share more in the coming months. And that's about all I have. Any questions?
Okay, there are some questions in the chat. Let me just take a look here. Okay, so Rich is asking, yes, how do the tennis people feel about losing their courts? Is there a plan to maybe increase capacity somewhere else?
We don't have any additional plans to add tennis courts. but we do have three tennis courts. The closest tennis courts in range would be Van Alst. We uh, just resurfaced the courts there. Um, Heritage Park is a 3-minute drive. It's within walking distance. There's two courts there. And if you haven't been to Forbes Creek, we just totally resurfaced the tennis courts there this summer. They were in very poor disrepair and they've been smoothed out, looking great.
Okay. Um, and Anderson is asking, what are the options for the pool that are being considered?
There's different types of enclosures. There's a different, like a more of a permanent, like a permanent, like a metal frame enclosure. There's more of a balloon style enclosure that you may have seen in different places. And I think there's more of like a almost a glass enclosure.
Wow. Okay. And question also from Anderson, where is the expansion of this skate park going to be located?
It will take over the same footprint where it is. Um, I'm not exactly sure because we don't have designs yet.
Okay.
Should
Question from Sue.
Sarah, do you know what level that skate park will be right now? It's pretty much for the little kids. Will there be um, very advanced for our teenagers and all at that? Do you know?
Well, we're going to be taking some of the ramps, well, all of the modular pieces that are over at the Houghton Park and Play, all of those will be integrated into it. So it will have some of those more exciting ramps included.
Okay, thank
I
you.
don't know the technical details about different levels of skate
The
parks,
skate
but
park.
I can ask and get back to you if you'd like to know
There
more.
are people. There are people that know.
Yes,
You
yes, we
know.
do.
So
We do have some contacts. Like people did provide feedback when we put in the skate park at the Houghton Park and Play, and they reached out and were like, you know, I've been skating for 20 years. I'd like to give you
good.
some feedback. And so we do have their contact information. We will be reaching out to them.
Great. Thank you.
And there was Uptown Collab has their hand raised. I don't know if
Yep. You guys are on mute over there.
We're muted.
Oh,
Unmuted.
no, now you're good.
Hi, so we're coming in a little bit late here, but I heard something about taking the tennis courts away from Kirk Park.
they're going to be restriped as pickleball courts. So there's
Okay,
two tennis
so
courts now, and it'll be restriped.
yeah, so I understand that here in Kirkland and all over America, we have a representative government. So who's actually making this decision?
I believe it's the leadership of our department. I can get back to you, but I do not
Okay,
have an
so what
exact
it
answer.
here's the way government should work. It should go from the people to the representatives that are elected, and then to the appointed people. And then lastly, to the city employees to implement what the people have conveyed to their elected representatives that the people want. Not decisions being made by city employees. I don't care what their level is. I don't care if they're the manager. They're not the ones that are supposed to be making decisions. It's supposed to be the people who live here as related to our elected representatives, who then relay to their appointed chairs of the commissions, who then relay to the employees to implement what we want. And
Okay.
because I'm
Thanks.
wasting my time here if that's not the way it's working.
Well, a lot of this did, I don't know if you missed the first slide. A lot of this came out of the survey from the Houghton Park and Play. And one of the specific questions, there were actually 2 or 3 specific questions about converting tennis courts to pickleball and
Okay, I
where.
didn't see that survey that you're talking about. Okay. I live right facing the park here, uptown at Kirkland Urban. This is where I live. These tennis courts are in use all the time. And why would you just put up a new fence when you're planning to take it down? Do you realize that that fence is brand new around those tennis courts?
I don't think the fence is brand new, but I can check on that.
Brand new. Yeah,
Okay.
it's brand new.
I'll check on that.
Okay. Thanks, Joyce. I think that's all the time we have. Thank you, Sarah, for the presentation. Yeah, any additional information you have to get back to some of these questions, feel free to send them my way and I will push them out onto our website.
I will. Thanks. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Moss Bay.
All right. Thank you. I see Susie is online. Hello, you made it.
I did.
Okay. Sorry, we announced you earlier as our latest board member, and so I thought maybe you want to take a couple of minutes just to say hello and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone in Moss Bay. I'm Suzie Oberman, and thrilled to have been apparently elected to the board, and excited to see what we can do to make the board more, not the board isn't involved, but make everyone more involved in the area, and just more people be knowledgeable that there is an actual neighborhood association here.
Great,
because a lot of people are very surprised. So that's my job, I guess.
All right. Thanks and welcome.
Thank you.
Let's see. Okay. So next up, Sarah Olson, giving us an update in terms of what's happening on the 85th and I-405 overpass BRT project.
Thanks, Alex. Hello, Moss Bay. It's nice to be here. This is my first time coming to a Moss Bay neighborhood meeting. I am one of the deputy directors for Kirkland Public Works Department. I oversee engineering, planning, and development services for surface water, transportation, solid waste, and development services. And I also serve as the city's liaison to WashDOT on several of the WashDOT projects on the I-405 corridor. I also have some slides to share. I'm borrowing from a presentation that was made by WashDOT at one of the most recent quarterly information meetings that they do. And just for your calendars, if you want to attend the next quarterly meeting, it will be on Thursday, December 11th from noon to 1:30 p.m. It is a webinar. It will be recorded and it is published online about a week after the meeting. So everything I'm showing you today was presented in the last quarterly and is available on the project website. So let's see if I can pull up this. All right, hopefully you are seeing my presentation screen.
Yep.
If I go into presentation mode. Okay, so Alex asked me to come and just provide a little bit of information about the 85th project specifically and speak to some of the upcoming traffic shifts and closures that you might be anticipating or experiencing over the next few months of construction. So just to ground us in this interchange, this interchange is going from a 2-level interchange, 405 on top, 85th on the bottom, 85th going east-west, 405 going north-south, to a tri-level interchange where they are lowering the 85th street down approximately 20 feet lower to make room for a middle level, which will be serve as direct access to and from the freeway to the directly to the express toll lanes, the ETL lanes on 405. This also is called an inline bus rapid transit station. So if bus riders are taking bus rapid transit to and from Linwood to Bellevue, it will travel along the express toll lanes, exit in the middle of the freeway down to this middle level where the bus stops will be right in the middle of level, and get right back on the freeway. So this middle level is a roundabout. And next to this middle level are the direct access lanes. The direct access lanes are what you are actually driving on today. If you take 85th east-west, you're pushed all the way to the edges of the freeway or the roadway to the freeway. And right now it's 2 lanes in each direction, but in its final configuration, it'll be a single through lane on the direct access level. And that is also where the King County Metro Rapid Ride and King County Metro regular bus services will also have bus stops at this middle level. The middle level will be served, as you can kind of see in this rendering, a sidewalk shared use path that runs at the middle level all the way through the interchange on both sides. Also reflected in here is maybe it's better shown on the next slide. I'll get to that in just a moment. On the bottom slide, on the bottom level, the 85th level is what is affectionately called a peanut roundabout. What will happen is all of the off and on ramps are being reconfigured. So they currently, as you can see in this overlay, this used to be a cloverleaf interchange, and these lanes come all the way out here. These are now being redirected much closer to the interchange, and they will be steeper because they have to go down to the 85th Street lower level for freeway traffic that is getting off on the right side of the freeway. And then you'll come into the peanut roundabout. Additionally, the intersection of Kirkland Way and 114th is going to also have a roundabout. So that's currently a signalized intersection. That will be a roundabout. There's currently signals at the off ramps. Those will go away. And all of this will convert from 120th to all the way down to 6th Street, actually. Will just be roundabouts and no signals. And then, let's see, is it on here? One additional feature that will happen at this will be this pickup drop-off area that will be accessed off of 87th and 116th. And it's a kiss and ride. You get your ride, take your Uber, your Lyft, and you'll come here. Also from this location will be direct access to that pedestrian shared use path that will take you through the site. Okay, I don't have time to do this whole presentation, so I just want to roll forward to kind of the schedule. So right now the project is working on the middle level, level 2. And they're getting ready they're doing 2 things. They're working on the ramps to the lowest level. And you may have noticed that there have been a series of overnight ramp closures right now. They've been working heavily on the northbound on-ramp. There will be a full weekend closure of that on-ramp in 2 weekends, are tentatively scheduled for November 21st through the 24th. So the northbound on-ramp will have a full closure that weekend. And they have a lot of work on all these ramps, drainage, reshaping the ramps, soil amendments and landscaping, detention ponds. So it's a lot of work. This other thing that they're doing is that right now as they're carving out the lowest level 85th, is they're also preparing the middle level. The 2 bridges, the north-south bridges that need to go in for the middle level. They're going to set the girders probably in early December. That will require some lane reductions or some interesting lane shifts when they put the girders in. It'll also likely to be night work. So you may see that there's only one lane open in each direction, or they may push a lane, both lanes to one side or the other. So this is just a heads up to say, if you're traveling through this area at nighttime, just be alert to traffic shifts and changes in direction. The last slide I'm going to share is this one. Which gives you the QR code to the project website. I am not an official spokesperson for WashDOT. I want to make that clear. I work for the city of Kirkland, and I am a liaison on this project, so I know about the schedule and the details, but this is the official contact information. If you want to go to the project site, or if you want to report issues, or if you have questions, they monitor this pretty much daily. And then the last thing I think worth sharing at this time that we know about the schedule is you're probably wanting to know when the big traffic shift will happen. When will the lower 85th and all those new ramps be in place? And that is tracking at the moment to do all those big tie-ins on a weekend closure, probably in late March. So they have a bit of work to go, but those tie-ins will happen probably late March. And then following that, there's still another series of work to go. There's a water line that needs to cross 85th at 114th. There's the roundabout at 114th. So there's still more work to go. Substantial completion for the project is anticipated for the end of 2026. Happy to take questions.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, let's start with Anderson. He asks, where's the parking for the BRT? There needs to be parking, not just Uber and Lyft.
So there is no dedicated parking beyond the small city-owned metro lot on at Kirkland Way and 85th for this station. Both the King County Rapid Ride and the Sound Transit inline BRT stations are serving multimodal connections. So that is a major reason why Kirkland is putting in the shared use path on 85th Street from 6th up to 114th, and why there's improvements happening on the east side of this station and having making those very key multimodal connections to the station.
Okay. Steve has two questions. Let's see. Will any of the buses go directly into Seattle? How do you go from downtown Kirkland to the station? I.e., who is the station supposed to serve?
Well, there's a short-term answer and a long-term answer. There's a number of improvements that are all happening that take time to implement. First, I will say that in the long term, all of these stations are really meant to serve the station area. So the urban zone around the freeway on the east side of the freeway that is envisioned to be an urban center with multi-use, mixed-use construction over time. Additionally, it's meant to serve downtown Kirkland community, either through those multimodal connections, through the new shared use path, or via the CKC up to that location. There are metro buses today that travel along this corridor. So if you catch a bus to the downtown Kirkland Transit Center, there is a bus that will go up the hill to this location. I think it goes to Totem Lake, it might be the 225. And then as far as the question about how do you go directly to downtown Seattle? So these services, Bus Rapid Transit on 405 is part of the Sound Transit Stride BRT program, and there are the S1, S2, and S3 lines. This is part of the S2 line from Linwood to Bellevue. The S1 line is from Bellevue to Burien, and the S2 line is on SR 522 from 405 over to Seattle. And so all of those connections, Linwood and Bellevue and Burien, all connect to light rail. So you can the system is being designed as a network that takes you either to a bus rapid transit line or get you to a link light rail station.
Okay. I think that's it for questions.
Oh, I do
Anyone?
see one about what is a shared use path, and I
Oh,
just want
sorry.
to
Yep.
answer that question. It is a wider sidewalk that can accommodate people who are both walking, rolling, on a bicycle or other mobile device.
Okay. Fantastic. And I think you answered the other question about having to walk from downtown. So there's going to be some transit up there. Walk up the hill.
Kirkland does have a lot of hills.
Yeah.
Because I think a big reason why you see an explosion of e-bikes in Kirkland and elsewhere to help with those hills.
We have a question from Uptown.
So I think somebody just asked how to get from Kirkland to Seattle, and I'm not sure she answered that question.
So there is a bus that does go from Kirkland to Seattle. It's the 255. It takes you to the UW Link Light Rail Station. That bus, I don't know the entire route, but I do know that it is a route that serves Seattle, and the other routes will take you to a light rail station that will take you to Seattle.
That asked that question? Somebody on chat.
Sorry, what was that?
Steve Brilling.
Steve, are you there? Were you wondering how to get to downtown
Yeah,
Seattle?
I am there, and it sounds like you're going to need at least three modes of transportation to get into Seattle.
Are you
Uh,
talking about downtown Seattle, Steve?
Downtown Seattle, if I'm in
Okay, well,
downtown,
what you need, Steve, is a time machine
I know.
to
Well,
go
see, we
back in
used to have
time
a
before
direct,
COVID. Just
yeah,
hop on the 250 and you'll be there. But you will need the time machine.
right. And I think the answer is, e-bikes and stuff. It's great when you're at your age. For those of us that are on the other side of the rainbow, the fact of getting, we're not e-biking up, we're not walking up. Heaven forbid somebody has any disabilities or walking impairments. This whole thing, I've been upset and concerned about it from day one. And I just don't think, I don't understand who this station is serving. There's no, when Google was ready to have a campus there, at least that had some logic. Now that it's still a car dealership, there's virtually no business on that side of the freeway. And, there's a pretty hefty walk, I'm in downtown Kirkland from here. So it looks like it's to the benefit of the bus people and not to the people that are trying to be served. But not that I'm emotional about it.
This is why we have to, interact with our representatives.
Live in Redmond, you go straight down.
Okay. Yeah, so there's obviously there's going to be some transit from downtown up to the BRT, as Sarah mentioned. But once again, Sarah's not the one we need to talk to in terms of the transit routes and things like that. Right. So that's something we can plan for if we want to talk to Sound Transit or someone else, and let them know our thoughts about getting to downtown Seattle and how important that is for us as a neighborhood. We could do that later, but appreciate your time, Sarah, and giving us this overview. You're awfully knowledgeable about all these other components as well, so we do appreciate you trying to answer some of those questions for us as well. Thank you.
Yeah, Alex, thank you so much for having me here. If I could plug one last thing and not to add more questions, but the city is conducting a transit needs study this coming year in 2026, and we will be asking the kinds of questions about what are the gaps in the transit system so that our council can advocate on the community's behalf for specific routes or different types of transit services. So I'm happy to share that information with you, Alex, when we launch that study.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Next we have Lieutenant Clayton Slominski from the Kirkland Police Department. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Namaste. Yeah,
Oh, there you
absolutely.
are.
Yep,
Perfect.
here I am. Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, I've got a little presentation as well, so if we can do a screen share.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you should just be able to share.
Give me one sec.
Sure.
Do you guys see my presentation?
Not yet. Oh, something's coming. Yep.
There it is. You guys
There
see
it
it?
is. We got it.
Awesome. Yeah, again, thank you guys for having me here today. So just a couple things I want to talk on quickly today. One, what are the crime rates over the last 3 years? If we have time, I can do a couple case highlights specifically to the Moss Bay neighborhood that have happened this past year. Go over some crime mapping, some holiday prevention tips, go over traffic in Moss Bay, and then there was a specific question talking about the noise enforcement pilot program that's been going on in Kirkland, specifically in the Moss Bay area. Talk a little bit about some of the downtown protests on our crowd management unit. I heard people talking about e-cycles. That is a big topic right now. So talk about e-cycles and our enforcement strategy, some online reporting, and our transparency dashboard.
Perfect.
So right after that, you'll see crime rates are actually going down over the last 3 years in all categories. Fantastic. There's a number of reasons for that. Again, we're fully staffed right now. It's been tough getting ourselves up to fully staffing, but now that we're at fully staffed, you're going to see a higher visibility, a higher presence of police officers. All our shifts are fully staffed. Likewise, there's King County has been implementing a new plan where they now actually make filing decisions within 30 days of filing. It used to be 6 months to sometimes up to 18 months when you refer a case over to them before they had a filing decision. But now with a 30-day filing decision, we're seeing a lot more movement through the system. They've cleared a lot of the backlog from the COVID era. And yeah, there's just everything seems to be moving really well in terms of the criminal justice system.
Sorry, Lieutenant. I can't see the label for the highest bars there. Oh, theft. So, okay.
Yeah, I took it off of the video. I don't know if that helps you better.
Yeah, I can say no because your the Zoom stop sharing thing just happened to be over where it said theft.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to clarify. Yep.
Yep, not a problem. Let me get it back. Quick. So I wanted to just touch on 2 different cases that we worked over this last year. I know I shared these a similar concept last year, and it was well received. So this one's a little more complex of an investigation that specifically impacted the Moss Bay community. This was a theft ring out of California. They actually come up, they target different areas, different communities. They fly in, they get an Airbnb or a rental and focus on that area for 3 or 4 days and then fly back down to California. So in this particular one, it was March of 2025. They rented a place in Seattle. came into Kirkland, targeted some of the downtown professional office buildings where they go into offices and steal wallets, purses, and then promptly make huge amounts of fraudulent transactions. In this case, one of our victims did an online report. So didn't call 911. They just went through the online reporting process, reporting over $5,000 in fraudulent charges with their wallet stolen from their desk at work. And again, that was in a downtown Kirkland place. Our patrol got assigned out to it to go and try and collect surveillance footage from some of those fraudulent charges and along from the office building. Detective Haas then used a combination of like cellular warrants, surveillance footage, and social media. So I'll quickly explain that. When you have a series of crimes involving kind of the same people, one of the ways he can identify them is doing, it's called a cell tower dump. So essentially he will write a warrant for multiple cell towers at a time in the area of where all these different transactions happened. Now, a cell tower can have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of phones connecting to it within an hour time frame. So what he's doing is hitting it on multiple towers, looking for a common number where all these different fraudulent purchases occur. And as you can see on the lower map, right, there's the 620 Kirkland Way, there's a Music Heaven, there's a Home Depot, there's a Target down in Bellevue, Nordstrom's, Home Depot, Target. So he's looking for what cell phone number shows up at each of those towers at the time those charges happened to identify a common phone. And in this case, he identified actually 3 suspects, but I only show two of them in the photos here. He then goes back and does things like looking at social media, along with surveillance footage. So you'll see on the upper male, he had a tattoo on the side of his face, captured from surveillance footage. We had a booking photo of him with that same tattoo. And then we had a female who had a tattoo on her left wrist. And as you can see, it was also showing quite a bit in some of the surveillance footage of her making fraudulent transactions. So Detective Haas was able to file a case on him, get a extradition warrant, and they were actually arrested down in California, extradited back up to King County Jail, and are now facing charges on burglary, theft first degree, and identity theft. And multiple other agencies then also filed charges on them because, again, these are professionals, and they target different communities all over the country. Next one's kind of a simpler case. This is kind of what you've all probably had friends that have had this. This was a senior living community downtown Kirkland. Somebody had their bike stolen, an e-bike. They called up, they reported, hey, my bike was stolen. Our officers looked into it a little bit, found that the suspect found out through both interviewing the victim and looking at footage that this guy had come in to use the restroom, but then used tape on one of the locking doors so he could get himself back in later. We took an initial report on it, didn't have any ID, but we had some surveillance footage of him. The person who lost their bike then called us back and said, hey, I think I found my bike for sale on Facebook. So one of our, we have a PROAC unit who then set up a buy bus where they go to buy this bike, verify that it is the correct bike, make an arrest, served a warrant on the suspect's residence in Seattle, and were able to recover the stolen bike along with additional stolen bicycles from other people as well. In this case, right, the guy was charged with the theft, trafficking stolen property, and criminal trespass for illegally entering the building. So kind of an example of a smaller level of case that we'll handle, but again, it means a lot to a community member, right? This is their primary mode of transportation. It's an expensive bike, and the fact that they reported it and then they actually took that extra step and said, hey, that's my bike on Facebook. We do respond to that stuff. We do go out and try and recover stolen property, and we do the best we can. If you're interested in seeing some of the crimes that happen in the neighborhood, community crime mapping, you can access this just by Googling community crime mapping Kirkland. You'll find the link, and then you can look at what sort of crimes are happening. You can set time frame on it, and you can dig into some of the different cases. Along with, on our website, we do have some crime prevention tips, right? Different things you can do: firearm safety, how do you prevent burglaries, identity theft, vehicle prowling tips. Well, again, a wealth of information on our website. And then I wanted to quickly talk about holiday scams. We got a number with the holidays coming. There's going to be a lot of scams coming up. So You're going to get a lot of text messages, delivery not available. You need to click on this link. It might show that's from UPS, FedEx. What you should be doing is going directly to those websites as opposed to clicking on those links. Right? So if you're supposed to get something and you get something that says it's from UPS, you're better off going to a UPS website and putting in your tracking code as opposed to clicking on a link, because oftentimes those could be scammers. Again, there's a variety of different scams out there: online shopping scams, charity frauds, and then gift card scams we're seeing a lot of right now. One of the things I'd primarily say is if somebody's asking to be paid using a gift card, it is a scam. No legitimate business or government agency is going to ask you or demand that you pay using gift cards. Again, porch pirate tips. Live in the world of Amazon. Everybody gets stuff delivered. Make sure you're tracking your packages so that you can pick them up off the porch as quickly as they get delivered. It's not uncommon to have people to actually follow the Amazon trucks and try and grab the packages relatively quickly. So if you have cameras installed, you track your packages, get them off the porch, or use secure delivery options. Some of the Amazon lockers, in-store pickup. If signatures are an option, do signatures. But again, don't let packages sit on your front porch. Traffic enforcement. So this is a summary of traffic enforcement from January 1st of this year through the end of October. As you can see, Kirkland Ave and Kirkland Way have the highest number of collisions. Central Way has the most tickets and DUIs, and Lake Street had the highest number of warnings and collisions. Thought I had something that showed a graph year over year. I may have taken that out. What I will say is that our officers have been issuing significantly more, and that's what it was. I was actually pulling up my Moss Bay presentation from last year. We have more than double the amount of tickets year over year. And again, I think a lot of that comes down to traffic is our number one complaint in the city. The police department receives constant complaints about speeding and requesting more traffic enforcement. And we hear that loud and clear. And our officers are out there doing what they can to issue tickets, issue warnings, and especially collision causing violations, distracted driving, speed, unsafe driving. So there was a specific request to talk about this noise violation pilot program. So essentially, in September of 2022, City of Kirkland and actually the state of Washington started a noise pilot program using automated cameras and decibel readers. Look for, is there actually a lot of like modified exhaust and noise violations happening? Since September of 2022, we have 2 camera and decibel reader locations in the Moss Bay area, Central Way, and then at Houghton Beach as well. Since this study's been going on, we've had 2,800 high confidence incidents of illegal vehicle noise detection during this program. Fortunately, current law only allows, basically doesn't allow us to take any enforcement because it's a pilot program. It's just data collection right now. Now, that being said, we still, as officers, issue a lot of tickets for modified exhaust, but this is using a camera system and decibel reader that would automate tickets. That is not allowed under Washington law right now. But our city's recommendation to the Washington Safety Traffic Commission is to expand and extend this pilot program along with evaluating programs and procedures to enable enforcement of violators. Because again, we think that this is a viable tool and does have an impact on quality of life. And the pilot programs clearly showed that there is a noise issue going on with some of these vehicles. You can see the average decibel level across these sensors is about 104.4 decibels, and with the highest recording of 106.2. Moss Bay does get all of the protests. This is a picture from the No Kings protest that happened on June 14th. We had somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000 people between 6th and Central all the way down to Marina Park. People demonstrated and walked along the sidewalks. Everyone was law-abiding, peaceful. It was a great First Amendment assembly. We do have a new crowd management team, essentially about 12 bike officers trained in crowd management techniques. You guys, if you were there on June 14th and the October 19th, you probably saw a few of these officers out there on bikes, just making sure that people are abiding by traffic safety laws, keeping people safe, helping manage some of the flow of traffic as people are getting across the intersections, and essentially just, respecting people's First Amendment rights by creating a safe environment and allowing people to do their thing. We do work very closely with the organizers of these events if they're willing to work with us. In this case, the Indivisible East Side has been a great collaborator in terms of sharing information, talking about what's the best route, how are we going to move this many people from one place to the other, and working in coordination with the police department. E-cycles. Want to quickly touch on this. This seems to be a hot topic right now in Kirkland. Essentially, we've got this gray area now where it may be marketed as an e-bicycle, but the reality is it's getting closer to an e-motorcycle. A lot of these are marketed to younger, not 16, so under the age of 16 riders. These bikes can go well over 28 miles per hour. Some of them don't even have pedals, are more appropriately classified as motorcycles. We now have a whole full webpage helping educate the population on these. We've also been going and collaborating with the schools, doing an education kind of first campaign. But essentially, there's 3 ways to tell if it's a bicycle or a motorcycle. Class 1, maximum speed assist is up to 20 miles per hour. Doesn't have a throttle, it just has operable pedals. Class 2 is it can go 20 miles per hour, but also has a throttle, so it can be just a throttle only, but it does have to have operable pedals. Class 3 can go up to 28 miles per hour using motor assist. And then really the way to tell if it's a motorcycle is it can go more than 28 miles per hour with a motor assist. It has a throttle, and it may or may not have operable pedals. I actually did a presentation to City Council recently on our enforcement strategy on this. Really what we're doing right now is a education first component, working with the schools, putting stuff out on social media, creating a website. There's a number of reasons for that. One is it's actually really hard to enforce these. There's no real mechanism to write basically a ticket to somebody under the age of 16. The court systems are not set up for it. King County juvenile prosecutor system is not interested in doing infractions. So really your only option is you can write juveniles a criminal citation. There's some concerns about wanting to keep juveniles out of the criminal justice system, especially for something like riding an e-cycle. Do we really want to start taking a heavy-handed approach of writing criminal cites? That being said, we have on a few occasions, right? There have been juveniles who have really earned that right to get a criminal cite. However, the prosecutor's office is not super interested in following through on criminal charges as well. Again, this is an area where there's so much discussion going on, both at the state level, the city level. It's kind of a mess. The technology is changing so rapidly. The laws are trying to evolve to it. The prosecutor's office isn't quite sure what to do with it. So we're really pushing an educational campaign right now, letting parents know the legality around it, pushing for safety first and education first. Crimes, same thing, right? You can always call 911 if there's a crime going on. A lot of people try and look for the non-emergency number. It's the same dispatchers that answer both. So I recommend just call 911 if you have something that needs to happen. We have an online reporting. If it's not urgent and it's maybe just something that you need to get reported, use our online reporting. As I demonstrated earlier, we had a fraud with over $5,000 loss, those do get reviewed. They do get assigned out, and they can turn into major investigations for us. So it is a very viable way of reporting. And then we also have the R Kirkland portal that allows for citywide issues, service requests. This could be complaints about abandoned vehicles, dog parks, anything you name. That's a great resource. Lastly, we do have these transparency dashboards. So Kirkland has a use of force dashboard that really lets you drill down into how much force are we using, who are we using force on. Same with the transparency dashboard. It's going to be, are we making arrests? What kind of people are we arresting? What crimes are they committing? There's so much data there. I highly recommend if people want to know more about what the police department is doing, types of arrests they're making. I highly recommend you use these dashboards to get some very statistical data. I'm going to quickly stop sharing my screen so I can see you guys again.
Great. Thank you so much for that very comprehensive, super relevant presentation. We do have several questions. Let's just start with the ones that I actually submitted pretty early in the chat. What are the rules of e-bikes or scooters? Where are they supposed to be? Sidewalks or street? And how fast are they supposed to be going? Okay, so
yeah, absolutely. So I quickly touched on the level 1 and level 2 e-bikes. Those can go anywhere a bicycle can go. They are treated as standard bicycles. The level 3 are supposed to stay on roadways. That's because of the higher speed, right? They can go up to 28 miles per hour with a motor assist. However, there is an exception in the law that says they can go onto sidewalks if it is basically unsafe on the roadway in that particular section. The Cross Kirkland corridor does allow for all e-bikes to be on it. So that'd be the level 1, 2, or 3. But there is a 15 mile per hour speed limit on the Cross Kirkland corridor.
Okay.
The other thing I'm going to quickly say is a lot of these are more appropriately classified as motorcycles and not bicycles. Again, it can be really hard for an officer to tell. It can be hard for the general public to tell. Motorcycles are not allowed on the Cross Kirkland corridor. In fact, most of these bikes that you are seeing that are motorcycles aren't street legal and just shouldn't be on our roadways. There should be in designated off-road areas or designated recreational areas and are not street legal. And our officers are stopping people on them. If they're juveniles, they're calling the parents, having parents come pick up the bike. If not, we will sometimes impound the bike back to our station for safekeeping until the parents can get it. Or we'll do a private impound, and it'll actually go to an impound lot, but that incurs a pretty significant fee.
Okay. Question from Anderson. How many tickets are issued from the cameras around Lakeview Elementary? Data shown excluded the camera data.
Sorry, for some reason I lost my camera when there was something, and now you guys can't see me anymore, but I'm here. I can get you that data if you want. I had it a second ago, and I actually pulled it out of my presentation. So I don't have it right now, but I can quickly pull it up. If you want to throw some more questions at me while I pull that up.
Yeah, sure. Question from B. There are a few of us in this meeting who live right by an all-way stop that has near zero compliance, including by large commercial vehicles and even some city vehicles. We've had many near misses. We've heard that because there haven't been accidents yet, that the city can't increase enforcement. What can the city do to have enforcement there so we don't have an accident?
Which intersection is this? Oh, are you there?
Yeah, B?
I'm here. It's the intersection of 3rd Avenue and 2nd Street.
Yeah.
Right by City, just a block south of City Hall.
Okay. Yeah. So what I will say is that our traffic sergeant every week puts out traffic complaint zones, and we encourage our officers to go and actually work those zones. We're still not up to full staffing with our traffic unit. Right now it's 2 supervisors and 3 officers. It should be up to 5 officers. Those can be challenging. Again, it really comes down to getting officers in those locations and making them aware of it. So I'd recommend using the that Kirkland portal, the My Kirkland, put in those recommendations, and I'll shoot an email to our traffic sergeant as well and have her put that on the list of places that are a problem intersection. I would say she puts out probably 5 to 10 problem spots every week. So we try and get down to each one. It can be really challenging. Everybody has an intersection in their neighborhood that they want officers at, and we only have so many officers in so much time.
Of course, yeah. I've been after this one for years. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have the information now on those school zones.
Yep.
So over this last year, we had 963,000 vehicles drove through the school zones. There were 4,972 violations recorded, with 3,929 citations issued. The average speed was 29.5 miles per hour.
All right, in the 20 zone.
What's that?
So in the 20,
that is a lot of
yes,
speed traffic through those speed cameras. Every one of those citations has to be viewed by a police officer.
Got it. Another question from Anderson. Plans to have police oversight of the Kirkland Scramble, the all traffic stop. There needs to be some education of drivers. There have been many incidences of people, I believe, cars turning right on the red lights.
Now the scramble is over. We're now back to just standard traffic control.
So there's no pedestrian scramble anymore.
Am I wrong on that?
Correct. No, I'm sorry. The Lakin Kirkland intersection now has an all-way pedestrian phase called a pedestrian scramble. So it went live 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we have had reports of people not adhering to the no turn on right. It has been submitted to the police department for extra enforcement, and so the scramble is active.
Well, thank you, Sarah. I apologize for the incorrect information. My traffic corporal had said that we were done with the scramble, but
done with construction.
Yeah. It just started, right? Okay, so Ken is asking, what does it take to enforce and implement noise abatement? I understand it's in the trial phase for a few years now. How much more data is needed in order to have it implemented?
So again, if we're talking about the vehicular violations,
That's right.
It is a pilot program. The problem we have right now is it's going to be actually at the state level, right? And we need the state to issue or basically change the laws to allow for those automated enforcements, just like we have in the school zone cameras. Our officers right now can issue tickets for modified exhaust, but they need to be able to show that it's not the original exhaust anymore on a car. So really it's usually those very clear, obvious violations. And then it actually takes an officer to see it, have the ability to make a traffic stop on it, and then issue that infraction. We do issue a number of modified exhaust infractions as the department. But to get into the actual automated system where we now have a much higher generation of them will require changes at the legislative level within the state.
Oh, question.
Oh, sorry,
Yes.
Go ahead, Jeanne.
What are we doing to influence the state to make noise enforcement part of what we all do?
Yeah, so there is a 2025 report from the city of Kirkland to the Washington Traffic Safety Commission recommending that. It's actually a very comprehensive document making those recommendations. I believe it might have been sent to Alex via email by Deputy Chief Axtell just earlier this week. So that's something he can share out with you guys in terms of what those recommendations are and some little harder numbers in terms of exactly what this pilot program has shown and what the city's recommendations are to the state.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look for that. I did see something come through. Sue, you had a question?
It's about the same thing. What is the state doing? We've been a pilot for 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
They have it. It's working in New York City. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I heard
Well,
that.
and I'll tell you that we've shown here in Kirkland that it works here too, right? We just now need to take that next
Right.
step. So there is this recommendation. Again, it's a 2025 recommendation from the city of Kirkland to Washington Traffic Safety Commission. I'm hoping that those recommendations are adopted.
So other than having legislation to for us to be able to actually enforce those noise sensors, you're saying 2 are installed currently, but there's no signage around them. I have never noticed either one.
Right, because it's a pilot program and there's not actually enforcement going on. Right now, it's more of a data collection.
Okay, so
Alex,
yeah.
Alex, there's signs. If you look at 6 and 7.
Oh, Sue, you're muted again.
There are signs at 6th and Central. If you look, they're, not very big, but
Okay.
it says noise abatement in processor. I mean, it's a warning.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I do think there is a sign. It's just not the level you would get because there's not the enforcement side. So right now, I think there's some warning that there's a decibel reader, but it's not a you're going to get ticketed sign
Right.
yet.
Would it be possible even to have one of those? Here's your over the limit, or it's like the ones that show your speed, but there's no enforcement, but it lets people know, hey, this is potentially going to be noticed.
I'm sure
idea.
that is possible. Again, I'm not sure how the program was designed. I'd also say that may end up encouraging some people to want to rev their motor.
I see.
So I'd like to see that once we're ready to issue tickets, right? So then they can rev it and then the ticket goes up.
That's right. They want to see if it's working, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, Anderson says, thanks for all you are doing to improve safety in Kirkland. Yes, we do appreciate you coming today with this presentation. Sorry, we're a little bit over time. For anyone else's questions, you can, I think, just send me an email and I can forward it on to the police department. Great. Thank you so much, Lieutenant. Okay. So I think it's gone a little, sorry, my PowerPoint's gone a little haywire here. Okay. All right, next up, Alex Kaiser, Planning and Building Department. If you're still there, thank you so much for staying with us today. You're here to give us a presentation in terms of the ADUs and what that housing option entails.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here at this meeting today. This is my first neighborhood meeting with Kirkland, in Kirkland, so I appreciate you guys inviting me to this. I'm an associate planner here at the city of Kirkland. I have been here for almost 4 years now. I've been working my way up from assistant planner to now associate planner. So my 4 years is coming up pretty soon. But yeah, I'm here today to give you guys a presentation on ADUs. And I'm sorry, I just realized that my camera's not working. So there we go. Hi, everybody. So I'm here to give you guys a presentation on ADUs. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
It's working?
Yes, can you guys see that?
We can.
Okay, great. Okay, so ADUs, I'm sure you guys are all aware of what ADU stands for. It stands for an accessory dwelling unit. There are 2 types of ADUs though. There's an attached ADU and a detached ADU. Attached ADUs commonly have the acronym AADU, and then a detached ADU commonly has the acronym DADU. There are also some other terms that these go by, such as carriage units or in-law suites. And over here on the right side of this PowerPoint slide, you can see the different variations of ADUs. We have, the classic detached ADU, which is actually physically detached from the main structure. We have the attached ADU, and then we have the other variations of attached ADUs, such as like above a garage or side by side to the house or above in like an attic space. And one of them that this is not showing is like a basement ADU, which are very common here in Kirkland as well. So you guys are probably asking yourselves, like, why would you build an ADU? For many reasons. They do support multi-generational and flexible living arrangements. So they support that age in place mentality that we are striving to do here in Kirkland. They provide affordability. They have a lower cost, it's a lower cost housing option for many across the city. It increases housing variety in established neighborhoods. It's a form of sustainable development as well. So for example, they have typically a much lower footprint than like a single family house, and they're typically much smaller than a single family house. So in that, just because of that, they are considered more sustainable. And the person who does build an ADU, it often relates to earning extra income through either renting or selling the unit. Just a couple Kirkland ADU facts here. So every single family home in Kirkland is allowed 2 ADUs, either detached or attached. Now I realize that this is Moss Bay and we don't have a ton of single family houses here in Moss Bay. It's actually one of the least single family zones in all of Kirkland, or neighborhoods in all of Kirkland. However, ADUs are still very popular among Moss Bay, specifically the attached ADUs, such as like turning basements into live-in units. The maximum size for ADUs is 1,200 square feet each. So theoretically, on a property that you have space for, you can get a total of 2,400 square feet of ADU space, broken out into 2 ADUs. We do have an exception to this limit, however, if it's an existing space. So for example, if you have a existing basement or something that you're wanting to turn into an ADU, that space can go above 1,200 square feet. If it's an existing space and you're just turning it into an ADU, we would not allow like an expansion further over 1,200 square feet to make that ADU. Some options for these ADUs, you can rent them out or sell them. You can even sell attached or detached ADUs. And you can do this by creating a condo type ownership. The condo process is held solely with the county, so the city does not regulate condo creations or ownerships. The other option is a unit lot short plat, which is a new process that was passed down from the state over the summer that mandated that cities across the state allow unit lot short plats to basically open up housing affordability in the state and make it easier for a fee simple style ownership in the city or in areas where housing is a little hard to come by. The city of Kirkland recently created a pre-approved DADU program. This is, I guess, not new anymore. It started about a year ago. But the city created it because we wanted to create and provide a faster and cheaper process for homeowners to create these things. The program, it's essentially a stock of pre-approved plans that are created by experienced architects and designers in the area. So these architects and designers would submit their plans into the city, and the city, specifically the building department, would review these plans and basically pre-approve them for use, for city compliance. This offers faster permit approval if somebody does decide to use one of these pre-approved DADU program plans. They're eligible for what we call a fast track permit, and they can get them in as little as a few weeks. It's also much cheaper because typically, if you're wanting to build an ADU from scratch, you have to hire an architect and a designer and an engineer potentially, and maybe even a surveyor to do all these things, which can cost thousands of dollars to design. Whereas these plans, they are capped at a maximum cost set by the architect, or I'm sorry, set by the city. And I believe it's $1,000 is the cap for these plans. And then you would basically pay that royalty to the architect for the plans, and then you can hire them to basically create like a site-specific site plan for your property. But that would still be much cheaper than going through this all from the beginning. The pre-approved plans are shown on the right side of this slide. Those are just 4 variations of the plans. We have several more, but they do include ADA accessible plans, such as that one on the lower left. They include eco-friendly plans, such as the one in the upper right and the lower left. They have low cost and low footprint plans, and the plans range in size from 600 to 1,200 square feet. So there's lots of options for if somebody has a tight property and doesn't have a lot of wiggle room to build anything else, we do have options for that. So it's a very exciting program. We haven't had anybody utilize the program yet, but we are anxious to get somebody to use it. If you're considering building an ADU, there's just a few things that you should consider before going through all the permitting and design. Here in Kirkland, we have a Florida area ratio maximum in most zones. And in most zones, it would be 50% of the lot size. Some lots actually in Moss Bay, they're zoned PLA, which actually I believe have 60% FAR allowance. And then the other one is lot coverage to take into consideration. Most low density residential neighborhoods in Kirkland are capped at 50% of lot coverage. But again, in Moss Bay, in some areas, it's a little bit more. And a couple other things to take into consideration when building one of these is be mindful of any critical areas that you have on your site. Steep slopes, wetlands, or streams will create a longer process for the approval of these, especially if you're wanting to use the pre-approved DADU program. If any of these critical areas exist on your property and you're wanting to utilize the pre-approved DADU program, you would not be eligible for the fast track approval any longer. You would just go through the normal review time because of the critical area review. This slide shows some data from the last several years of our housing creation here in Kirkland. So it's broken out into year and also broken out into the style of unit. So we have ADUs, cottages, and 2 3-unit homes. As you can see, the ADU section has continued to grow over the last few years. And I think this year, 2025, we're on track to pass all the prior years for ADUs. And then, as you can see, cottages and 2 3-unit homes have continued to increase in popularity as well. If you have further questions about ADUs, I did link our website here with our ADU toolkit website. I can also send that link over to Alex after the meeting to kind of disperse to all of you so you have it. And then for general questions on ADUs, that can be directed to that number, which I'll also send to Alex after the meeting. Did you guys have any questions for me about ADUs?
Yes, Alex, thank you so much for that quick overview of ADUs. I think not all of us were fully versed as to what that was. Just a quick question from me. On your previous slide there, you have cottages. Did you talk about what those are? That's on ADU, is it?
Yeah, so you're correct. I didn't talk about cottages. Cottages are a different, basically zoning code section. Cottages are a separate code section that allows you to basically double the density of your underlying zone. So for example, if you have a lot that typically would only allow you to get 2 single-family homes, you could double that and get 4 cottage units. But that is under a different code section and not related to ADUs.
Because they're larger? They go over the 1,200 square feet? Okay.
Yes, yeah, cottages have a maximum square footage of 1,700 square feet, plus an additional 250 square foot garage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. No other questions for Alex today about ADUs? I think we're good.
Okay.
Great. Hey, thanks so much. And yeah, welcome to attend some other meetings. It's great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, Don, are you still there?
Turn on my sound here.
Ah, there you are.
I'm trying to get the video to come on.
Oh, took an old slide here.
Oh, there it goes. I had to click it 3 times to get it to work. Okay, so I am ready to share my screen. Is
Yeah.
that what? Okay, I will go ahead and try to do that. Okay, here we go. All right, so yeah, let me move the thumbnail. I always have this little problem with the thumbnails covering up my screen. I'll move them way down here. Okay, so oh, that didn't work either. I got to get these thumbnails out of my way here somehow. All right, so I am going to start the slideshow here.
Yep.
At least I think I am.
See the pedestrian scramble there?
Yes, this is the this thing with the I don't know whether it's my computer or what, because I don't see other people having this problem, but the thumbnails cover up the screen and it just makes it really difficult. Okay, yes, we'll be back with the Neighborhood Safety Program for 2026. It's just gotten underway. On my first screen here, we have the pedestrian scramble, which already has been mentioned a couple of times tonight. But here it is in action, and you can see people actually scrambling out there. So the new posts are in. It's the old posts were still in place when I took that picture, so you can see them both there. But I've used it a few times. It's kind of good. It works good, and it's nice to see the intersection finished like that. There's always, temporary stuff all over the place, barrels and stuff like that. So now it looks really nice. Okay, so we'll get started with the uh, presentation here. So why do we do the NSP? And the NSP is a program to increase pedestrian and bicycle safety in the city. That's the basics of it. And we'll get into the details in a minute. But first, the base total available this year is $350,000 for the whole program to be shared with the projects that get approved between the 13 neighborhoods. So each project itself must be under $75,000. So that means there would be a total of about 5 projects, a little bit less than 5 actually, that would be approved if they all cost $75,000. But if some of them would be less, that's the maximum. So it could be up to 6 or 7 or 8 programs even that would be approved. Okay, so we'll move on here. So these are the types of projects that we can apply for. And so this is a list of what type of projects there are available. And we still need, it would be good to have a couple of suggestions as far as, candidates for the program. So when you look through this list here, maybe people can come up with some ideas and submit them. You could submit them in the chat window here or send an email to Alex, contact@mossbay.org. So anyway, I'll go through real quick. There's bike lanes or trails, crosswalks, or crosswalk ramps or islands, and intersection improvements, traffic calming, radar signs, and traffic circles. Walkways or trails, those are gravel trails, steps, curves, and traffic delineators. But I don't see sidewalks, and I think sidewalks are kind of out of the picture because they're so expensive. But we'll get into that in a few minutes too. And street lights on a new pole or existing pole. Of course, on a new pole, it's much more expensive, but So if you see a place where you think we need a streetlight, you could suggest that. Okay, here's the schedule this year. We already had the October 28th NSP kickoff meeting, which I attended at City Hall. And the next milestone here is December 1st, when we have to submit project ideas. So that only gives us about 3 weeks to come up with any further ideas. I have a couple of ideas in mind that I'm going to show you, but we could use a couple more. So if anybody has any ideas, submit them, because we have to get the ideas in by December 1st. And then the project runs through with, numerous milestones here. We meet with the city. We have to submit our actual application, which will only be one project. We submit several ideas, we get feedback, and we narrow it down to one. So then the staff evaluates, the other neighborhood coordinators also evaluate our program, our ideas, and eventually and the last meeting, let me see here, I'm still running into this problem with the thumbnails. Okay, so the final neighborhood panel team meeting, that's all our neighborhood representatives like myself get together on Friday, March 27th. And that's when we decide which projects win the competition, basically, and will get funded. All right, so we'll move on here. So the projects are scored by two different ways, two different methods. One is the city staff, which is made up of city engineers and other city officials, rate our project on a 0 to 100 point system. And then the other neighborhood representatives, such as myself, there's 13 neighborhoods. I don't think they all submitted projects, but there probably at least 10. And they grade our project, and the combination of the score determines which projects are funded. Okay, so we'll get on to our ideas here. One idea we did receive via our Kirkland portal is the intersection of State Street and 7th Avenue South, where there currently is a crosswalk across State Street on the north side of the intersection. The submitter mentioned that the crosswalk does not align with the sidewalks and that the additional crosswalks are necessary. So one possibility that could address the submitter's concern here is a new crosswalk on the east side of the intersection of 7th Avenue South. This will make a little more sense when we look at the map here. So that's State Street running north and south with the yellow center line, and 7th Avenue South running horizontal across the screen there. And the lake is on the left, and on the right, if you went up 7th Avenue South, you would come to Google campus. So the submitter mentioned the crosswalk that doesn't align, and you can see what she means up here, what he or she means up here, where the sidewalk comes up, and you have to jog over 10 feet, cross the street, and jog back. That's intentional because of the curb bump outs here. If anybody's wondering what a curb bump out is, these are good examples right here where the curb is bumped out to prevent cars from parking near the crosswalk, and also to bring pedestrians out further before they're actually in the street. So the actual crossing is shorter. So that probably won't change. So the alignment stays. But one thing we can do here is put in a new crosswalk across 7th Avenue South on the east side of State Street. And it's pretty much set up for it already. You can see it has ADA ramp there. It's visible. The stop line is set back as compared to the other side. You see the stop line's out near the corner. This one's set back enough to allow for the crosswalks. They pretty much all just have to paint the crosswalk. So it's a pretty good project, really. Here it is from ground level. And I don't know if there's anything to say here other than you can see how it just seems like you just paint a crosswalk there. The ADA ramps are in place. The stop sign is in the right position already. So it looks like actually a pretty good project. And here is the criteria of crosswalks, the staff considerations and the cost. So the cost would be medium to high, and that's between, I think it's 35,000 and $75,000. But the crosswalk we're talking about here would be less than 75 because it doesn't need ADA ramps. It doesn't need much of anything other than the painted crosswalks, at least as far as I can see. So that seems like we fall into that category pretty well. Okay, a second idea, this was submitted by one of our members who's in the chat, in the Zoom here now, that on Kirkland Avenue between the library and the performance center on the north side of Kirkland Avenue, there is a badly broken and buckled sidewalk due to nearby trees. And while sidewalk repair is not on the list of NSP project types, I checked with the city and they said that we submit this project, get engineering feedback, and then maybe they would be able to include it. So that is something that could go forward. We'd have to see. I took some photos, and here you can see is right in front of the library entrance. You can see the library sign behind. And you can see how buckled it is. It's offset and very dangerous. And you can see the cause is these trees. So I'll go down the street just a little bit further and more buckled sidewalks and a little bit further yet. And I took a side view so you can see how buckled it is. You can imagine people trying to walk over this type of sidewalk, especially if they have mobility issues. Merrill Gardens is just down the street, and the library, performance center, and the pool are all nearby. So it is a bad situation with the sidewalks. Okay, I'm just going to quickly go back over. We have had, past 3 years, we've had our projects approved, which is a pretty good record. And so I'm just going to just go back over them really quick. This is our project from last year, which will be a new bicycle ramp to replace this divot, we've been calling it, in the curb. And this is on Kirkland Avenue where it intersects the Cross Kirkland corridor. And so that project received funding and should be done in probably about 2 years. So we'll go back the year before, which was a crosswalk on Kirkland Avenue, which was right down the street from last year's project. And this was to correct the situation where people who live north of Kirkland Avenue actually had to jaywalk to get to the trail. And so this gives them a way to get across the street and access the Cross Kirkland corridor. And this one, the engineering is just about done with it. So then it will just be the construction. So this will be done within a year. So that's good. This one is a project in 2023, and this was rapid flashing beacons at the crosswalk, on the existing crosswalk on Lake Street and 10th Avenue South in front of Aegis Living. And this was very difficult for people with mobility issues and for anybody who wanted to get to the waterfront to get across Lake Street because people don't like to slow down once they get rolling there. And in this picture, the flashing beacons are installed, but they weren't operational, but now they are. So it's nice to see that in place. That was a very expensive project. And rapid flashing beacons are no longer allowed to be as safety program projects because they're just too expensive. You get two of those, two projects like this would eat up the whole budget of in fact, I think this costs about $350,000, which is the entire budget for this year. So they're no longer viable as far as candidates for the safety program. But that does allow for a lot more projects to be approved because other type projects are cheaper. And last but not least, our safety program from 2019, which I believe Amy Bowles was the person who marshaled this one through. And this was completed about 2 years ago, I think. And it's kind of interesting because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of flashing beacons. So you can imagine how much that one costs. So
It's a busy street.
So that particular intersection, I know there was a fatality there when I was working in the 80s in downtown Kirkland. I was working at a car dealer, the old Kirk Motors, and there was a fatality right there. It was really tragic because the person who hit the woman was extremely distraught and just was, definitely an accident and just it's just a bad place to try to cross the street. So those lights really help. So that's it.
All right. Thank you so much, Don. We have a comment here from David in the chat. It says, if we don't have any new ideas to submit, can we upvote or voice support for specific ones? I like the idea of State 7th Avenue Street Southwalk, crosswalk idea. So is there any way for in the NSP process, I think, where
for
residents
people
can
to support a project? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think when we got to the point where we were actually submitting the application, December 1st, we submit ideas, but they're not fleshed out as far as the details. We get a little feedback. So if the project is definitely out, they just say, forget this one. But then a month later, so we have to submit the formal application, and we could submit it with support letters from people who,
Okay.
if they live nearby, say, yeah, I could really use that or something like that.
Great. I think Anderson has a comment here. Likes the flashing lights on Lake Street and 10th Avenue South, the one by Aegis. However, there needs to be branches trimmed on the west side of Lake Street so the flashing lights are better seen for those driving south. I think something like that we could just put into our Kirkland, right? And
that's right. I think Public Works probably would have to take care of that.
Yeah, and I've noticed our Kirkland also works for potholes. That was a comment we had from the survey as well. So if you can identify specific ones, they're actually pretty quick about going and filling those potholes. Okay.
Yeah, we do need some further suggestions though. If anybody has one, like a street light, or they need a crosswalk, a traffic circle, a radar sign.
Traffic circle. Okay.
The whole list there.
Radar sign. Yes, and thanks so much, Don, for agreeing to be our neighborhood's rep for the NSP again this year.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Done a great job so far.
Thank you.
Okay. So sorry, we're a little over time this evening. It is our last one for the year, so we had a lot to cram in. And just to note, a couple of dates here. Our next neighborhood happy hour is actually going to be on Thursday. So we're going to try these Thursday happy hours. Next one will be on December 11th. And we'll see you otherwise at our next neighborhood meeting online on January 12th. All right. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone.